announced by the Minister of Basic Education last night. I will not be wasting much time. We have next to me the MEC for Education in the province, MEC Fundalegade. We've got the acting HOD, Dr. Nuku, and both of them, after the MEC would have tabled the statement of the department, then they will engage the members of the media at that point. I will hand over to you, MEC, so that we can start everything. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Chair of the session. Let me take this opportunity to greet all of you, in particular the media houses that has been invited into this August event, but also take my hats off for the institutions that have been part of the DNA of the education sector and the improvement thereof that have been recognized in the recent times. The Chapter 9 institutions that have been able to make us to do our constitutional obligations in the province as defined in the constitution of the country in particular. The SGBs of the schools that we have, the SMTs, the HOD in front of me, and also the top management of the sector that has been able to hold the fort. Our social partners that are here with us and that has been able to bring the stability that we see within the sector. And lastly, the Office of the Premier and the Executive Council of the Provincial Executive Council of Eastern Cape that have made it to be a success, the task ahead of us. Colleagues, allow me to give an account of the Eastern Cape performance in the 2023 National Senior Certificate Examinations. The grade 12 class of 2023 is the 10th cohort to sit for the National Senior Certificate Examinations based on CAPS. It is a cohort that entered grade 1 in 2012 and most probably had a fairly stable and conducive teaching and learning environment up to 2019. When their grade 9 class was affected by COVID-19 pandemic, however, they had 3 years of undisrupted teaching and learning from grade 10 to 12. In all respects, colleagues, the 2023 represents a watershed period in the learner performance trajectory of the Eastern Cape. This is characterized by a number of inaugurations ranging from pass percentages, bachelor passes, subject pass marks, as well as the performance of the examinations centers. The year 2023 is also marked by improved quality and good standard of school-based assessment submitted to Umalusi for resulting. This means the persistent emphasis on the formative school-based assessment over the past few years has paid off handsomely in 2023, in particular in the province. The class 23 obtained 81.4 pass percentage, a 4.1 improvement from 77.3 pass mark of the class of 2022. Over the term, this represents a shift from the 76.5 of 2019 to 81.4 in 2023, representing a 4.9, a shift over the term from 2019 up until to date. The Eastern Cape has produced a total of 316,000 passes over the term of 2019 to date. The number of bachelor's passes increased by 2.8 from 36.8 in 2022 to 39.6 in 2023. In terms of, in real terms, it means the the 37,898 of the 95,697 learners obtained a bachelor pass in 2023, compared to 34,974 of 2022. Over the term from 2019 to 2023, the Eastern Cape has produced 146,561 bachelor passes, and also has produced 108,442 diploma passes ever since within the term of government that we are currently engaged on. It has equally improved the number of distinctions over the last 5 years, moving from 157,045 in 2019 to 29,064 in 2023. Year-on-year improvement has equally scaled up from 3.7 in 2022 to 4.2 in 2023. This is evident in the quality of passes in each subject written in 2023. The subject performance across spectrum improved in 2023 generally. Of the 52 subjects that the province wrote, 42 subjects have shown an upward trajectory, and only 10 subjects dropped by lower margins. The high enrollment subjects with no less than 10,000 learners for the specific subject exhibited commendable improvements, with mathematics, physics, and history showing unprecedented upward trajectory in the province. Trends analysis between 2022 and 2023 shows the following commendable subject performance improvement. For example, 4 out of 5 home language subjects improved commendable. Afrikaans improved by 3.5 from 84.9 to 88.5. isiXhosa improved by 0.2 from 99.5 to 99.7. isiSotho improved by 0.4 from 99.3 to 99.7. The sign language improved by 22.6 from 52.4 to 75%. In terms of the gateway subjects, out of 12 improved commendable. Agricultural science improved by 2.7 from 81.1 to 83.9. Business studies improved from 6.4 from 75 to 81.9. Geography improved by 9.2 from 77.8 to 87%. History improved by 2.8 from 87.2 to 90%. Life sciences improved by 4.4 from 72% to 76.6%. Physical science improved by 4.5 from 70.5 to 75%. Mathematics improved by 11.3% from 46.1 to 57.4. There was a decline, although marginally, in 4 high enrollment subjects in the province. The trends of declines are as follows. In terms of the accounting, we dropped by 0.2 from 76.9 to 76.7. In terms of the economic studies, we dropped by 0.3 from 78.6 to 78.3. In terms of the mathematical literacy, we dropped by 2.5 from 83.1 to 80.6. In terms of the tourism, we dropped again by 0.9 from 98 to 97.1. However, the decline is equally an important design, new turnaround, is an important decline, and equally provide an opportunity to design a new turnaround plan that will eliminate marginal declines moving forward. The province presented 956 full-time examination centers, and their performance per center has improved quite considerable. The 91% of our schools perform at 70% and above, with no school performing at 20% and below. It's worth noting that the improvements are as follows in a number of schools that we have in the province. The number of schools performing at 60% and below has reduced from 131 to only 81 now, meaning that only 8.4 of our schools in the province performs at 60% and below. The number of schools performing at 80% pass has increased from 202 to 216. The number of schools performing at 90% pass rate has increased from 236 to 307. The number of schools performing above 90% has increased from 233 to 254. In terms of the quintile performance, colleagues, the bulk of schools with improved performance are in quintile 1 to quintile 3. And I think we must note that one, because 70%, if not 75% of the schooling system in the province is located here, between quintile 1 and quintile 3. So that's the bulk of the schools in terms of the classification that we have in the province. This means quintile 1 to 3 schools constitute 76, as I said, of schools obtaining a pass mark of 70% to 100% trends. The trends are as follows. The 20% of these schools are in quintile 1, the ones that performs between 70 and 100. Again, the 19% of those schools are in quintile 2, and the 37.2 of those schools are in quintile 3. Only 9.2 of quintile 5 and quintile 5 and quintile 4 and quintile 5 that are within that range of between 70 and 100% performance in the province. By way of deductions, colleagues, this means that the districts with high improvements and bigger numbers of centers automatically became major game changers. However, worth noting is that fact that not a single quintile 5 school in the Eastern Cape performs below 80% for the past 2 years. In terms of the district performance in 2023, 8 districts have performed above 80%. You'll remember that we have got 12 districts in the province. Now we have been able to take 8 out of 12 into a league of 80s in the country, with the remaining 4 performing between 76 and 79, which means we don't have a district in this province that is below 75% now. You have got 4 districts that are between 76 and 79, and 8 districts that are between 81% and 85.6%, which then tells you that qualitatively and quantitatively the system is gelling now as expected. The top 5 performing districts in the province in 2023 are as follows, colleagues. Is Alfred Nzo, which is number 1 at 85.1%. with 8.1 improvement from 77.0. Alfredo West is number 2 at 84.2 with 1.5 improvement from 82.7 in the past. Crisani East is number 3 at 84.1 with 4.5 improvement from 79.6. Jogabi, the smallest district, is number 4 at 83.9 with 12.2 improvement from 71.7% in the past. Nelson Mandela is number 5 at 83.1 with 2.7 improvement from 84.4 in the past. As I said earlier on, that Jogabi is the most improved district at 12.7 improvement, followed by Crisani West at 8.9, Alfredo East at 8.1, OR Tambo Coastal at 7.2. The district bachelor pass rate has improved commendably as well. Only 5 of the 12 districts performed below the provincial average of 39.6 in terms of the bachelor passes, and 7 performed above 40%. Here is the rundown of the top performing districts in terms of the bachelor passes. Because, colleagues, also it's important that we note as well this. We are a skills industry. Once this sector is unable to provide skills needed by the classification economically outside there, you run a risk HOD of a system that provides kids just to pass, not understand the knowledge that is required. So it's key how the quality of the results must feature in your plans as you deal with the fundamentals that begins to upgrade the performance system that you have. So the issue, Chairperson, of ufundela upasa, it's not there. Funeka kufundela ulwazi, not upasa. Because once ukufundela ulwazi uzoba nengxaki xa kufika kulento yokwenziwa komsebenzi noku unblock the unresolved problems that are confronting the nation in general. So hence I'm saying we are quite very happy with the improvement in terms of the bachelor passes that we have. The following districts, colleagues, have performed as follows. Crisani at 45.1 is the top with 3.8 improvement from 41.3. Buffalo City is at 42.6 as the second best, albeit the decline at the Buffalo City of 1.5 from the 43.5 in the past academic year. The Alfredo West is the third one from 42.2 with 1.7 improvement from 40.5. Alfredo East is the fourth one at 41.9 with improvement of 5.2 from the 36.7. Not a single district again, colleagues, that has performed below 30% in terms of the bachelor rate in the province. An improvement that has been demonstrated in 2021 from the Jogabi, which was at 27.3, and OR Tambo at 28%. So that's a reflection in terms of the quality of the results that the people of the province must enjoy. Again, in terms of the grade 12, generally, colleagues, these improvements in 2023 have seen a context, a system that must be interpreted in the context of the wide education transformation plan which has been adopted in the province, whose strategic task is to maximize opportunities of learners achieving a good pass in the NSC while improving the performance in the whole system. The explanation that I've already given to you. However, this will not have happened if collaboration with teacher unions, social partners in the province was not in existence. There was the most fruitful and useful, which came into being in terms of how we have dealt with the issue of the management of extra demands from time to time in terms of the cohort of the teacher components that we have. This has also helped in creating a conducive environment for teaching and learning. Hence, you have not seen a strike ever since 2019 in the province. And we can cite that part of the attributes of this achievement for the provincial government, not for the sector, is the ability to understand the collaboration framework, understand the role players that are at play, understand the contribution of each and every individual with direct and indirect interest in education. Because you can plan as education, but if other social forces at play are not taking their own responsibility, all your plans might be watered down. So you need to be a bit vigilant on who does what, when, and where, and have that been taken into cognizance by those individuals that are expected to do that. So hence I'm saying the issue of stability is a critical component in the sector. And because we are running a biggest system of governance in the country after KZN, is KZN, Gauteng, and us, if you talk about the schooling system in the country. So this is the biggest schooling system that must always be looked and monitored in terms of whatever challenges that it is confronted with. Colleagues, in terms of the curriculum interventions in 2023, we have done the following. The curriculum interventions were based on basic principles of improving curriculum performance. These basic principles are comprehensive data analysis to identify the strengths and areas of interventions that are needed. What does this mean? It means you must not be generic in intervention. You must be specific. Where are these kids that are at level 1? Who are they? From which school? Doing which subject offering? So that you are able to understand whether is it the capacity of the teacher that makes these kids to be at level 1, or is it the capacity of the individuals themselves in terms of the candidates that are going to write the examination. So you need a focused, dedicated intervention, a very specific one. For example, colleagues, just to explain this, if you are dealing with mathematics consistently, and you can see that in the previous papers, these kids have been unable to deal with algebra consistently, then you must be able to say, but why? Does that reflect the capacity of the individual in terms of the teacher that presents that offering? What is the meaning of this? So that you are able to see how to intervene and where to intervene and who can you use to make that intervention. Hence, I'm talking of a data analysis of each and every individual learner, each and every subject that is offered in the province, each and every individual capability of an educator that is employed in the province, so that you know exactly what you are dealing with, colleagues. Also, the development of the targeted, differentiated interventions programs. Again, one size fits all is not working. One size fits all is not working. If we district ethile njengase Alfred Nzo West Chairperson, bana 5,000 learners doing mathematics. just a district is doing 5,000, is having 5,000 learners doing mathematics. You can't then intervene in that district as you are going to intervene in a district that has got 1,000 learners doing mathematics. So you need a bit of a scientific, researched approach on how to deal with that particular question. Hence, I'm saying an intervention must be specific and be targeted for. And also, lastly, an establishment of accountability systems aimed at managing the performance. We are servicing the people. We are at the service of the people, all of us. From a cleaner to the MEC. All of us were at the service of the people. From a cleaner to the HOD and the MEC. So we must always track accountability of whatever that must be done in the sector. And whether the strategy you are using does impact negatively or positively. Funeka singayixelelwa ngabantu abahamba ngendlela into bana lento siyenzayo does not yield any positive impact. Funeka ibe lapha kuthi kwi DNA yethu into bana no man. Yesterday siyasa nengxaki pha kulandawo. Ngomso funeka singaphumi ngalamnyango. Funeka kuyophunywa ngala festire because sibe ne problem xa sikulandawo yesterday. So I'm saying systems of accountability must be in the DNA of the public service. Must be in the DNA of the public service so that you are able to improve the public service in the country that is at the best interest of the people that must be served. So that's exactly what we're talking about, colleagues. Again, the curriculum as led by TTG Chwakati made interventions that are quite interesting in these recent times, where they were talking of the three phases, the push and hold. My apologies for taking a bit of your time on this thing, because I don't want you to go up and down not understanding what is happening. We adopted a push and hold strategy. What does that mean? In the first quarter, you must push the district into the limit. And in the process, you are able to identify what are the strengths and weaknesses of the system in this district. What are the blind spots here in this particular district? And that must be done in the first quarter. So that when you come in the first phase, you are able to cover up any weakness that have been identified in the system. Because you are the first and the last hope of those kids. Kaloku asizigothuka sonke. Bakhona funeka bethukile. Bakhona funeka beze ne-answer yomothuko. Asinokothuka sonke apha endlini. Bakhona funeka beze nesombululo somothuko. Asizukwazi. So that's why I'm then saying, for example, let's just take these results as outlined here. Again, this principle applies, Dr. Nuku. We need to take the league of the 80s into 85 this time around and assign a particular team that is going to make sure that all these districts that are at 80 and above now don't fall and decline back again. Because any system that does not appreciate that is going to be a problem moving forward for you. For us to sustain the 5% improvement from 2019 to today's date, you need to know what are the blind spots in the system, what are the strengths of the system, and how should you then make such kind of interventions. And again, colleagues, in terms of the last push, which the team led by TTG Chwakati has done, was to consolidate and make sure that the good practices that are seen as pockets of excellence in the province are dealt with via the very same strategy. Hence, I'm saying you need a depth in terms of understanding the content a depth in terms of understanding the context, a depth in terms of understanding the systems themselves of governance, so that you are not found wanting whenever you are making such kind of interventions. Lastly, colleagues, on this particular phase, the intervention programs for academic care included extra tuition classes, the form of monitoring and afternoon classes, weekend classes, vacation classes, streams and virtual lessons, provision and additional learner support material, and additional assessment, and with a range of topics, tests, and exam papers, in particular the trial examinations that we hold. Again, this talks to the content, colleagues. Unfortunately, grade 12 is a barometer in the country. But a better system of sustainability, which is sustainable, is an upward, organic, improving system. Hence, we want to offer a proposal with the HOD that from now moving forward, uzukwazi ukunqandela chairperson abatishala balala ezikolweni, you must be deliberate in investing in the primary education in the province. It must not be an accident. You must be deliberate, because lamlalo wabatishala base high school ezikolweni is as a result of an underperformance of the primary schooling system. Once you master the art and skill of dealing with that, surely there is going to be air so that they can breathe the ones that are in the FET band. Asuzukwazi HOD uqhubekeka notishala abasacrifice families zabo, abasacrifice imitshato yabo, because that has got a bearing on the social incoherency that the country is not needing. So go take the social disorder, une contribution precisely because of the systems that have not been tampered with. So hence I'm saying, moving forward now, whilst you deal with grade 12, you need a meticulous plan on whether grade 1 learner is in a better standard that is required. Can you take a grade 1 learner of this country and put it in Britain and make it to compare? And that question must be there. And again, Chairperson, without taking much of your time, we were discussing with the DTG Chwakati and also and HOD that we need a session with the social partners urgently, just to have a coffee with them. If you have got small and viable high schools in the province, and you have got a school that has got 10 to 20 learners in grade 12, what does that mean? Now, you need an intervention that saves kids. Take grade 12s that are phased out by the PPN processes into established schools that are resourced, so that you can save those kids from either underperforming or being the victims of the system itself. And I'm then saying, that's a discussion that we're going to engage with the social partners. No, we're not rationalizing or downgrading schools. But the city nje ngumntana womntu lo kufuneka pasile enotishala ngenatishala. Uba isystem yethu ayikwazi umnika utishala ngenxa yepolicies zethu that we have in the country, thatha abantwana out of the school. Uba sekule ndawo bazawukwazi upasa kuyo because funeka bepasile. Akekho umzali ose umntana for ufelisha. Akekho. So it means this kid must not be here. Must be where there is 99% potential of getting the pass rate that one needs or his ambitions are. The extra classes were planned, colleagues, and managed by the schools by HODs at school level. These classes were conducted to extend educator-learner contact, and the focus in Term 1 and Term 2 was on pacing up the content coverage that I've already talked about. Term 3 and 4 focuses on consolidation and practices. In terms of the autumn classes, we conducted at the end of the term one was to deal with the learning losses, consolidate the content coverage and revise challenging topics, and identify areas within which are a weakness in the process itself. But also in terms of the winter classes, colleagues, we planned conjunctions. We planned conjunction with the districts, the subject planners, and also subject advisors. Identify the challenging topics in term 1, 2, and develop intervention strategies and designed differentiated learner support material that were subject targeted and specified. The subjects that underperformed as per term 1 and 2 analysis were targeted so that you know exactly what you want to achieve and how to achieve that. In terms of the spring classes, subjects also that were underperforming in term 1, 2, and 3 were targeted for special support, and the extra tuition classes that focuses on the recovering of the learning losses and also consolidating the conceptual development and preparing learners for the final examinations. During this period, an extensive revision strategy were employed with specific focus on highlighting enrollment subjects that are there. Just a second on this, Chairperson. Dr. Mthembu developed a concept, if I'm not mistaken, for mathematics in the country, coming from KZN. And I would want you to, and I would invite all of you to get that copy. And I would invite all principals of the province to have that concept document. Why? That concept document tells you what is going to happen in the theater of knowledge and skill, which is a classroom, far before that kids get into that class. And it tells you the concepts that must be expected through the whole assessment of the learner from day 1 to the last day of that grade 12, in mathematics in particular in this country. Now, sithini ke ngoku? It means the first thing that must be done is to take that concept document, make it available to all learners that are doing mathematics in the province. Kulindeleke ntoni kuwe xa ungena kula class yenza mathematics apha eprovince? Before xa i-content le mathematics, intoni lilindelekileyo kuwe? Ulindele ntoni kulo tishala in terms of the concept analysis azawuza nayo apha kuwe, so that they become knowledgeable and depth in terms of the concepts themselves from a mathematical point of view before they deal with the stats and mathematics in terms of the content. Ilento ke sithi preparation intellectually of the learners to be acquainted with the environment and understand the concepts and the development of the brain as they engage in that particular process. In terms of the visual lessons, Chair, we planned and coordinated jointly with secondary curriculum management and e-learning programs through the e-learning directories. The visual classes were supported and presented and aimed at supporting teaching and facilitating the learning in all subjects. These lessons also targeted learners with no educators, and during examination time, revisions were done across the specified subjects, especially accounting and mathematics, because of their own enrollment numbers. Lastly, Chair, in terms of the online support, the ECDOE developed a variety of online learner support material uploaded on the department's website together with various with previous question papers, and districts and schools were made aware of the material that I've just talked about. And also in terms of the support, colleagues, I would be failing if I won't take my hats off and be grateful for the support that we got on the number of partners ranging from the local municipalities, the district municipalities, the NGOs, the SEOs, the department also appreciate the collaboration with sister departments, and the department also appreciate the guidance given by the Office of the Premier on a wide range of issues that the department must be able to answer and be able to deal with, precisely because we're handling an apex priority of the country and the nation. And therefore, hence, we're saying it's going to be important that that support is recognized. The Maths Infinity, your Gens Consulting, NCT, ESCOM, Track SA, all those organizations that were focusing on maths and physics and languages. We are taking this specific recognition because we are a maths and science province. If you analyze our data, you analyze the learners we have, almost about 65% of the learners are doing maths and science in this province. So which then tells you how should we make the ends meet in ensuring that at least we don't fail the kids that has been presented before us. In conclusion, Chair, I'm proud to express that no learner was left behind in getting the opportunity to write an examination in the province. And the key message to unsuccessful candidates is that they must regroup, pursue their dreams. They must not mourn. They must organize themselves back. Because the future of the country depends on all those that have undergone the basic education cycle of 12 years. What transpires in terms of your own personal ambition depends on how you have been able to deal with the basic education cycle of the 12 years. To all those that might have succeeded, the department wishes them the best in their future endeavors and make the province and the country proud. The future of this country is in your hands, colleagues. We need a new generation of young people that takes a bit of a responsibility for us to be able to hold the fort as both as a nation but also as government of the people. But the critical question, Chairperson, as I'm sitting down, is going to be whether our system of basic education in the country can be able to provide many Ngukaitobi Tembelas. It can't be right, Chairperson, I repeat, it can't be right that a homeland schooling system produce Ngukaitobi Tembela and a constitutional government dispensation is unable to multiply Tembela Ngukaitobis. There is a contrast on that one. If a homeland can produce an advocate that was representing the nation in Hague, what makes us unable to multiply Ngukaitobis in this country and the province? And hence I'm saying, our strategic task as basic education is not about how many learners have passed, is whether the system is able to resolve the unresolved questions that the nations outside there are confronted with. Hence I'm saying, as I'm closing, the system must resolve its own challenges. And part of that must multiply the brains needed in this particular country. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, MEC, for that. I think, colleagues, when you talk about social science matters, it's not a straightforward one. You've got to continue explaining yourself and making sure that everyone understands where we are at. So that's why the MEC had to take that much time. I've got a little bit of education MEC on matters of education and development as well. Colleagues, at this point, I am going to offer you an opportunity to quickly engage the MEC if there are any follow-ups in terms of the statement that he has shared with us, or questions of clarity, I will allow you that moment. And as you do that, colleagues, I will request that you introduce yourself and the media house that you are coming from. I noted a number of you are here: SABC, ENCA 10, DT, Buffalo TV, Bumakapa TV, Daily Dispatch, and quite a lot of you colleagues. So I am now expecting those hands. JJ, let's keep them coming quickly, colleagues, so that we spend the next 15 minutes engaging yourselves. Any further questions, colleagues? I see one hand. That's the second one. Yes, let me just get up. 3 hands. Is there any other? I have 3 hands, colleagues. That will be it after these 3 hands, colleagues. So I would like to see, Andisa, are you okay there? All right, 3 hands. We'll start with you.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Mtukino from Africa. And we touched on push and pull this department. And you said that you are being those schools that have problems to try and utilize what the problem is. And what would be those issues when you get into those particular schools that are there in terms of implementing, whatever that helps to do with curriculum to improve the performance of the country.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am?
I will be making from this one as a 5 questions. There are those schools that didn't perform very well. The local data is a sign of mistake. What are you going to do? Get me much for the
Thank you so much.
Looking at the stats that showed yesterday, over 2,000 students who enrolled did not write the final exams. I'd like to know if these students dropped out or deregistered, and what is the contribution factors?
I think on the first one, raise hand or third.
JJ, you can come through, JJ.
Good morning, MEC, and good morning, everyone. Mine to you, MEC, is you normally say, or you often say, there's thesis, there's antithesis, and synthesis. What I don't understand, MEC, I mean, to achieve the goal that you have achieved, what are some of the theses and antitheses you have established and were able to come up with a strategy that has given you the current results?
Are you done, JJ?
Yes, I'm done.
All right, thank you. Any last taker, colleagues? I will close it at this point. I know that there are a few requests for one-on-ones. I will hand over to you, MEC, quickly to respond. But there are just a couple of questions that have been asked, others bordering on issues around non-performance and how government will deal with those. And also the issue around the number of learners that do register and for grade 12 versus those MEC that finally write grade 12. And the question is, what are some of the contributing factors to those that do not get to the exam room when we see that there is a decline versus those that have registered for the year? I'll hand over to you,
No, okay, Chairperson, let me take the soft one. I will take the hard ones. I will give the hard ones to the HOD and also the DDG for curriculum, Mr. Jogat. On the issue of the learner retention strategy in the country, let me start there. Yes, there has been a challenge generally in the country on how the kids get into the system. Because remember, our strategic task is to ensure that first and foremost, education system is accessible. That's why we were talking of a free and a compulsory education from our concept documents, from a ruling party's point of view. So you must first have an access, and how do you then move beyond that point? So if you talk then retention strategy, you are talking of how kids have been able to be sustained in the cycle of 12-year journey of basic education. Because the results that we are presenting today are results of a 12-year journey in the basic education. There are a number of variances, Chair, that influences whether kids fall by the wayside in the system or kids became part of the system, but with a slow pace, because basic education has got norms and standards in terms of the age cohort that must be there. One amongst the issues that general government will have to resolve are the migration patterns that you find in various provinces, from one province to another, from one rural from one rural district to another urban district. Let me simplify this thing. Let's take Nelson Mandela and Buffalo City. Every year in January, you'll have an admission crisis here. Why? It's not because there are no schools where those people are coming from. It's precisely because of the economic classifications and the migration patterns of the society from to developed areas in the province. In the process of job opportunities, then these kids then follows those parents or those elderly ones so that they can get an opportunity and access into the deemed better education, precisely because it's associated with an urban setup. But take it from me today, there is no such a phenomenon in the province. You wouldn't have Alfred Nzo West and Alfred Nzo East being number one and number two, and Buffalo City and Nelson Mandela being at the bottom. So there is a serious debate and a research that must be done, whether the developed areas have got a scientific relationship between the philosophy of education and what is happening in the classroom. Kutheni kulandlala injeya ibomvu yase Alfredo bengo number one bobabili? Because Alfredo in general, a face of poverty in this country. But strange enough, when it comes to us in education, is position 1 and position 2. It's position 1 and position 2. So I'm then telling you, Chairperson, that there is that discussion that needed to be looked into in terms of how the migration patterns and also the learner retention strategy feeds into the narrative that you have in the sector, so as to build a cohesive system of education that is programmatically skilled one and give you the desired outcomes that you would want to. JJ, in the past in the province, we developed a concept called mental maths that deals with the foundations for learning in mathematics at the primary level of education in the province?